Hey y'all, welcome back to my channel. Today's video is going to be my first book haul of 2025. If you're new here, I usually do a once quarterly book haul where I take a look at all the books I've bought in the last 3 months and look at my progress towards reading down my owned TBR. I'm also going to be adding this year, I'll be looking at the percentage of my new books that I have read, because that is something I'm trying to track this year. I'm trying to read 60% of the new books that I bring into my library. We'll talk about the stats first, and at the beginning of this quarter, my owned TBR was sitting at 374 books. After a pretty significant unhaul that I did right before moving, and reading several of the books that I already owned, I'm now sitting at 351, which is the biggest progress in the correct direction that I've had in quite a while. I'm really happy with this number, I'm really excited about that, and I'm hopeful I can keep that momentum moving in that direction. In terms of percentages, I ended up buying 13 new books that I am counting for this. I did also buy physical copies of the All for the Game series, but I'm not including those in this haul because they were books that I already owned. I just was getting physical copies to have on my shelf, and I also have read all of those, so it doesn't matter anyway. So I'm not including those here, but out of the books that I bought 13 overall, excluding the All for the Game books, and I've read 3 of them and DNF'd 1, which means that I have currently completed, by reading or DNFing, 30.8% of the books that I've bought this year, which is about halfway towards the number I want to hit. I want to hit 60%, so I've got a ways to go yet, but I have really brought down my book buying. This is a lot fewer books that I have brought into my library in this first quarter than I typically do in a full quarter. So I'm really happy with that, and I feel like the stats are moving in the right direction. Now diving into the books, we'll start with the ones that I have already completed and then move on to the books that I haven't read yet. The first thing I want to mention is probably going to make some people unhappy, but the first book that I bought and then DNF'd is The Way of Kings by Brandon Sanderson. I picked this one up to buddy read it with a friend of mine, and neither of us had a very good time with it. It's not that it's a bad book, it just didn't work for either of us personally. I feel like the plotting and pacing just didn't click for me. I felt like I was reading an extended intro to like a FromSoft game, and I wasn't having a great time with it. It wasn't bad, I wasn't actively disliking anything in it, it just wasn't drawing me to pick up the book when I wasn't reading it. I also picked up The Serviceberry this quarter. This was a nonfiction I was really interested in reading by Robin Wall Kimmerer, and I don't have it on me at the moment because I have lent it to my mother. She also really wanted to read this, so when I finished it, I gave it to her, so she's currently got a hold of it right now, but this was a really excellent 5-star nonfiction. I had a great time with this one. I think the ideas in it are really interesting, and Robin Wall Kimmerer's writing is just incredible. I also picked up The Orb of Kairado by Catherine Addison. This is the Subterranean Press edition. I don't think there is another edition right now, but I found out suddenly that they had created an edition of this book. This is a spin-off from my favorite book, The Goblin Emperor, so of course I had to pick it up, and I have already read this. Another thing that I gave 5 stars. Really enjoyed it, and I'm glad to have this copy on my shelves. And finally, in the red books, I also got Victorian Psycho by Virginia Fato. I read an arc of this one back in February and really enjoyed it, and I felt like I wanted to have a copy on my shelves because I feel like this is a book I'm likely to go back and reread at some point. So I gave this one 4 stars at the time, but it's definitely a book that I continue to think about. So I wanted to have my own copy, and I just bought this one last weekend at a local bookstore that I'd never been to before, so that was really fun. So it was like a fun experience involved in the buying of this book as well. Moving on to the unread books, the first book I got in this quarter was Tomie by Junji Ito. This was a birthday gift from my partner, and I'm really looking forward to reading this. I've been slowly making my way through all of Junji Ito's work. I think this is the last of his kind of bigger single volume or single stories, one that's not a short story collection that I haven't read yet, so I'll be done with these kind of chunkier ones after that, and then I'll be able to move on to just reading some of his short story collections. I am really looking forward to this one. I know my partner really enjoyed it, and it's gonna be nice to have another Junji Ito around for when the mood hits, you know? Another book I received as a gift was The Reformatory by Tananarive. This was a gift also for my birthday from my partner's mother, and it was really nice of her to send me this. I'm really looking forward to reading this. This is historical horror that sounded really interesting. I've heard incredible things about Tananarive's writing, and I've also just specifically heard incredible things about this book in particular. So really intrigued to pick this one up, and I've been reading a lot of horror. I'm kind of, I think, out of my horror mood at the moment, so I may not pick this one up immediately, but if I don't read it in the next little while. I'm gonna try and read it around spooky season this year. Then we've got Cloven Country by Jeremy Hart. This was my birthday present to myself because I had a bunch of rewards money and a birthday coupon from Barnes & Noble, so I picked this up for $4. I picked this book up because I originally saw it on Tim Downey's TikTok. He's the voice actor who plays Gale in Baldur's Gate 3, and he is just Gale in reality. And he was making a video about like books he was taking with him on a like trip where he was going to be filming something on location, and he was going to be taking this one. It's about the connection between folk tales about the devil and place names in England, which I think just sounds really interesting. Then I ended up picking up Strange Pictures by Oketsu while I was at my former local indie bookstore where my mom lives, the bookstore I like to go to over there. We went just to go wander around for a little bit, and I ended up picking up this because it sounded really interesting. I had not heard of it before, and then I've seen it everywhere since then, so it seems like it's fairly popular. The concept is that there's a series of, I think, 9 drawings that have some sort of like creepy connection, and I'm really curious about this, especially because the author is this guy. He is apparently a Japanese YouTube sensation, and he only ever appears using a voice changer and wearing a creepy mask. So that's intriguing on its own, and I'm really curious to see how I feel about this because I've been seeing some really rave reviews for it. Then I've got one I didn't buy that my mom bought actually, I think last year. This is Long Haul by Frank Figliuzzi. This is a nonfiction about truckers who are serial killers and about how the, I think it's the FBI, tracks them and tries to catch them. I'm really intrigued by this because I enjoy true crime when it's less focused on killers themselves and more focused on either the victims or on how they've caught them, like the actual process, method, technology, etc. that goes into catching killers. I think that's really interesting. I used to be really interested in getting into forensics, so I feel like that makes a lot of sense. But I'm really curious to read this. My mom read it and said it was really interesting, and she could never read it at night. So sounds like a good time to me. After that, I picked up a book that's sort of about the ethics of true crime, so I feel like I have a little bit of a theme going here. But I ended up picking up Penance by Eliza Clark because none of the libraries I have access to have a copy of it, and I've been really interested in reading this one. This is about a group of friends who have a mutual friend who was horrifically murdered, and 10 years after the murder, the case has been closed. But a journalist comes to town to try and peel back the layers of the story, and it seems like maybe some people aren't telling the truth about what happened, but also it seems like the journalist might himself be embellishing the story as he's writing it. So it's looking at like how and why we consume true crime and the ethics of writing it. How does it impact the people who are being written about, and a number of other topics around that, I'm sure. It just sounds really intriguing, and because I do enjoy true crime, I think I'm going to get a lot out of this novel about true crime. Then we got another nonfiction, which is Careless People by Sarah Wynne Williams. I picked this one up to be my April pick for nonfiction. I've been trying to read a nonfiction every month, and I picked this one up entirely because I saw that Meta has been trying to suppress it. I was not interested at all before that because this is a memoir by someone who used to work for Facebook and fairly high level, worked with a lot of the executives, and I don't care about Facebook. I deleted my Facebook, but now I know that Meta wants to suppress this, so now I need to know. You know, like I want to know why it is that they don't want us reading this book. So that's why I have it, and once I'm done reading it, I'm also going to pass this one on to my mom because she wanted to read it as well. The penultimate book I have to mention is another ebook. This is The Golden Raven by Nora Sakovic. This is the 5th book in the All for the Game series. I've been making my way through those for my friend's Cursed Book Club, wherein I am the reader of cursed books. I read things, I explain them to my friends, we all have a good time laughing at it. I've just finished, in March, book 4 in this series, so I've picked up book 5 because it just came out, and I am cautiously looking forward to it because these are always a wild time, but they're also like always bad. So it's like you have to be in the right mood for a cursed book, but Nora Sakovic books hit like no other cursed book can. So I'm kind of looking forward to it. Finally, I have another book that I picked up this last weekend at the indie bookstore here in the city I live in now. And I picked this one up entirely because it was on a staff pick recommendation table. And I really liked the description that the staff member who was recommending it had put with it. So this is When the Angels Left the Old Country by Sasha Lamb, which I had never heard of before. But I'm just going to read you the description that the staff member wrote because I just thought this was delightful and immediately made me want to pick this up. So they wrote, "What Good Omens wishes it was. Extremely Jewish, queer, and funny. Suspenseful and heartwarming. Found family, lost loves, mysteries, and shenanigans. An angel chooses its name. A demon chooses comfort. A young woman chooses herself." Doesn't that just sound incredible? Shout out to Ezra, the bookseller who recommended this book. I saw it on the table. The artwork is beautiful, and that like caught my attention. And then when I read that description, I was like, I cannot buy it. I have to know. I haven't read anything like this, I think. I have read Good Omens though, and I didn't love it. I think it's fine. So I feel like, especially in the wake of what we've learned about Neil Gaiman in the last year, it's a really great time to be picking up something that is Good Omens but better. Those are all of the books that I've added to my TBR and shelves in general over the last quarter. Let me know down in the comments below anything new that you've picked up this quarter that you're particularly excited about, or something new that you picked up and really enjoyed. I always love to hear what everybody else is reading, and I really hope you've enjoyed this video. If you have, I hope you consider giving it a like, maybe even subscribing to see what comes next. Currently posting on Tuesdays and Saturdays, and I hope to see you in the next video. Bye!